Tape www.suividecolosénégal.com. À école au Sénégal, c'est facile, tu n'as qu'à te connecter. Tape école au Sénégal, les leçons sont beaucoup plus détaillées.
Winnie Mandikizela, you know, it is Mandiki. Winnie Mandikizela. But sometimes she's often called as Zella because Mandiki could be a little bit long. And Winnie Mandikizela, of course, was born September 26, okay, and was a second spouse to Nelson Mandela. Of course, I say second because you would probably think it was the first. A lot of people think that she was the first, but she was the second because Nelson Mandela got married 3 times actually. While he was in university, he got married. He had, you know, that excitement, you know, of being independent and all. And so he had a first wife while in university, but did not work out, so they got divorced, had no kids. That's why she's a little bit out of the picture. But then Winnie is the wife that a lot of people know because Winnie is a wife of the struggle. It is with Winnie that Nelson Mandela fought. Winnie stood by the husband through thick and through thin. You know, she stood by him. She understood the struggle. She raised those 4 kids almost all by herself because Winnie, like I said, was locked. Mandela, I'm sorry, like I said, was locked up for years. And so Winnie Mandela is the lady of the struggle. She is very much loved by South Africans because of the struggles that she made, to an extent that she was even tortured. You know, when the husband was imprisoned, she got tortured. She was even banned from, you know, from practicing. She was even banned from her hometown, and so she was sent into a solitary confinement. She was confined and isolation. You know, she was confined even because of a struggle. You know, locked up in one corner because of a struggle, but she never gave up. She actually never gave up. She still continued the fight for the husband because she was tired of the segregation. She was tired of the social injustice. She was tired of the economical injustice. And so she struggled. She continued the fight, okay, with that which Nelson Mandela started. So that is Winnie until Winnie passed away not too long ago. You know, after natural courses, okay, she passed away. But she is known for her struggle, even though there are some controversies about people wondering, but if she did all that for Nelson while he was locked up, then why did Nelson come out and divorce Winnie? You know, if she was that faithful. Well, yes, because remember I told you Nelson was a pacifist. Winnie was suspected of going extra miles or doing things a little bit differently. Okay, that she was a little bit wild, you know, and so Nelson got to Nelson's ears, and Nelson did not kind of like it, and so it became a little bit of a problem because Nelson did not like killings. He doesn't like war. He doesn't like killings. He didn't want the shed of blood. And so it was a little bit of a contrast or contradiction with Winnie. That's one of the reasons why they did get a divorce, okay? But nevertheless, Winnie is a lady of the struggle. She really, and especially for women, she stood as a woman back in the day, and she was quite a popular woman. She's one of those women that really fought against apartheid, that fought against black suppression. Okay, especially for a woman, she never gave up. That's why she is a hero, you know. And then we have Thomas Sankara. Have we heard of Thomas Sankara? Thomas Sankara of Burkina Faso. He was a wonderful young man that unfortunately the life ended suddenly, but he had a lot of aspirations for Africa and especially for Burkina Faso that you should know about. Okay, Thomas Sankara was born December 21st, 1949, okay, and he was a military guy. He was a military captain, and he got into politics and overthrew the came into politics, and then went through a military coup d'etat, and then got, of course, Burkina Faso. But back in the days when it wasn't Burkina Faso, okay, it was till 1983 that they changed. Burkina Faso was once called Upper Volta. You know, it was called Upper Volta. Haute Volta. That was the name of Burkina Faso, Upper Volta. But when he got into the presidency in 1983, he now changed it to Burkina Faso. which is now present time Burkina Faso, and which the capital is Ouagadougou, and so he was really against French colonialism. He was an anti-colonialist. And an activist as well. He was really against the French because the French people came. Of course, we know the story of the French. They're everywhere, these French people, and then they colonized the country. They wanted to have all the goods. They took the Africans, Burkina Faso goods, and they were kind of exporting it, and they wanted the country to be eating imported goods like from the Western world, and it was so expensive, and people were having a hard time to survive and all that. And so he came and did not want that. And so he stopped all that. He did not want the French currency. He wanted to create his own currency. He wanted the people to eat local. So he stopped the exportation of African goods to France, and then rejected the importation of French food, sent it to Burkina Faso because it was quite expensive. And so he encouraged young farmers to cultivate. He was really about the man of the people. He felt like he saw the vision of Burkina Faso, and he knew that Burkina Faso can do great without the French people. He didn't want them involved in every part of the African or the African domain or sectors or Burkina Faso sectors. And so he sent a lot of the French people out. He eradicated a lot of the French people from a lot of the Burkina Faso sectors, especially like in the military, in agriculture, finances. He wanted their own currency, like I said. He wanted them to consume locally Burkina Faso food, that hospitals, people should actually go to the normal hospitals, and rather than trying to go out and things like that. So he was really in control, and that really vexed the white people. It really vexed the French people, and so it was a problem. And so they planned against him. The planned against Thomas Sankara, and then he got killed in 1987. So you see that he served the public only for about 4 years, because he got into power like 1983 or so, and then got assassinated in front of the presidency. He got shot right in front of his home on a fateful afternoon, and it's been suspected that his good friend was a cause of the death, that plotted against him and killed him. But he did a wonderful job for the 4 years that he was a president. Burkina Faso had really seen a lot of growth. People were starting to revive. People were starting to have hope and all of that, because things were getting better, and he was really an anti-colonialist, especially for the French. He really fought for it. And he went even to neighboring countries trying to tell them, look, let's do this thing together. We don't need the French people. We don't need the white man. We can handle this. Africa has a lot of potentials, a lot of minerals, so he was a champion, and he was lobbying other countries to join him in this fight. But unfortunately, he died, being assassinated, and the dream did not kind of go through. But he died very young. He was one of the youngest African presidents when he got into power. You see that he was born 1949, and so he was in power, got into power like at 32, 36 or so. So he was quite young back in the day, but he did an excellent job. So he should be remembered for his zeal and for his power and for the boldness. Okay, and then we have Julius Nyerere. I don't know if anybody has heard of Julius Nyerere of Tanzania. Julius Nyerere of Tanzania. Julius Nyerere is almost like Thomas Sankara. He was an anti-colonialist. Anti means that you're against. Anti. It's pronounced anti, not anti. It's anti, and anti means against something. So anti-colonialist means that he was against colonial powers. Okay, and of course he's from Tanzania, and so Tanzania was not colonized by the French; it was colonized by the British. So that tells you that he was fighting against the British people. He was fighting against the British people because, like the French, they came in, occupied Tanzania, wanted the space, controlling everything, and Tanzanian people, and they don't have the space, they could not breathe, and so that became a problem, And Julius Nyerere was born April 13th, it's 13th, okay, 1922, okay, 1922, and he was, like I said, an anti-colonialist and a political theorist. A political theorist is someone that is into politics, okay, that brings out ideas, that brings out solutions, that is trying to work out things. So he was a political theorist. And so he brought out his own theory of how the country could expand, could stand, could evaluate to get better, without the colonial powers, without the British. Okay, and he was very good at it. So he really helped out Tanzania to fight against the colonial rule, the British colonial rule. And he sent out a lot of those colonial people away. And he even helped in fighting against Idi Amin of Uganda. If you've heard of Idi Amin, he actually fought against Idi Amin, because Idi Amin, even though he was good, but he was, I don't want to say a terrorist, but he was really tough. If you go read Idi Amin, okay, Idi Amin from Uganda, he actually fought against the downfall and the pulling away of Idi Amin. So, against Idi Amin, which Idi Amin was from Uganda, which was a wonderful thing. And he also helped with the colonial powers that were in Burundi. So you see that he was not selfish. He assisted his neighboring countries of Uganda, like I said, and of Burundi, even though he was from Tanzania. And it is Tanzania, it's not Tanzania, it's Tanzania. Okay, so take note about the pronunciation of that. So that is Julius area of Tanzania. Okay, so far, a recapitulation, we know that we have Nelson Mandela and that the colonial powers were the Dutch, particularly from Netherlands, which is also comme les Pays-Bas, Netherlands, Pays-Bas. And then you have Winnie Mandela, which was the same. Thomas Sankara had the French colonial powers, and then Julius Nyerere had the British colonial powers. So you see that there are different levels of colonial powers, okay? And now we move on to Paul Kagame.